With the entire NPA system, with the new IBC, we had a CRISIL report which mentioned that the NPAs are actually reducing at a faster rate than the RBI estimate. And CRISIL also mentioned that the new RBI circular provides additional flexibility to lenders as well as focus on efficient resolution. So we decided to bring on board Krishnan Sitaraman, the Senior Director at CRISIL Ratings, to talk about their report. Mr. Sitaraman, thank you for joining in on ET Now. It's interesting to point out that you actually believe NPAs are falling faster than what the RBI had estimated, and they've declined almost 9% in the fiscal 2019 in the system. What exactly is it that has caused you to believe this? I mean, where is it that you do see system level NPAs decreasing, and how do you see it shape up by the end of FY20?
Yeah, see, the entire IBC process or the NCLT process has enabled higher recoveries from NPAs in the banking system. And the other thing that is important here is the extent of incremental slippages to NPAs. That has come down in FY19, and that is because in the last three fiscals, most of the NPAs or most of the stressed assets have already been recognized as NPAs, and that left less amount of NPAs or stressed assets to actually be incrementally recognized as NPAs. Also, if you look at the special mention accounts in the SMA2 category, essentially 60 to 90-day overdue accounts, now that has also more than halved vis-a-vis a year back. So all these have contributed to actually bringing down the stock of NPAs down, and where we are seeing it was around 11.5% as of March 18. We expect it to be around 9.3 odd% as of March 19. The trajectory will be continues to be down because we don't expect too much of additional slippages to kind of further come in. If you go back before the past 3 years, typically a steady state slippage to NPAs was around 3 odd% on an yearly basis. Now we were at around 3.7% in FY19. We expect that to come down, and that will also help in bringing down the stockpile of NPAs to below the 9.3%, because we are also expecting some recoveries from the big ticket NPAs which have been referred to a resolution under the IBC. So that will also happen. A combination of the two, lesser slippages and increased recoveries from existing NPAs, would bring NPAs further down.
Do you think the recent increase in corporate downgrades, corporate governance issues for various companies will lead to further NPA?
Yeah, so the way we are looking at it is you have to look at it in two parts. One, from the existing stockpile of NPAs, there will be NPAs coming down, and there will also be fresh accretion to the NPA levels. So it will not be that slippage to NPAs will be zero. There will be a finite number of accounts which will get added to the NPA bucket. So we are actually envisaging that as well. But taken on the balance, the NPA levels coming down and the new NPAs getting added on, we believe still net there will be a reduction in the overall NPA levels, because NPA levels had actually shot up to 11.5% last fiscal. That was around 10.5 lakh crores. So there is a substantial headroom where NPAs can come down. Of course, there will be additional NPAs, which is what we are seeing. We will see also in the next few quarters. But even despite that, overall NPAs should come down.
All right. Now let's just get in, your overall perspective on the new circular that has been issued by the RBI. It's replacing the Feb 12 circular. Do you think that this new one is a bit more practical to implement?
Yes, I would say so. Some of the key aspects of that circular are as follows. So it actually gives the banks a 30-day review period post default for the banks to come out with a suitable resolution plan, think through the approach, what would be relevant for a particular case, and so on. Whereas the earlier dispensation had the resolution plan starting or initiating the day after the default had happened. So now the 30-day lookout period is a good window for the banks, and the 180-day period clock will start after the 30-day period ends. So that's a flexibility given to the banks. At the same time, banks also don't have to mandatorily refer these accounts to the insolvency and bankruptcy code if after 180 days the resolution plan is not successfully implemented, which was the case earlier. In some cases like stressed power assets, if you refer to insolvency and bankruptcy code and insolvency provisions are initiated, some of the aspects like fuel supply agreements and power purchase agreements actually become ineffective. So then a running operational project would be further stressed. So now those that is not mandatory. So that will help the banks. At the same time, to prevent inordinate delays, there is an additional provisioning requirement of 20% after 180 days and another 15% after 1 year, 365 days. So additional 35% provisioning has to be given if the delay is more than 1 year. So that will be a disincentive for banks to inordinately delay the process. So on the whole, I think this will help banks to resolve assets in an appropriate manner, and they have the now kind of a weapon to actually proceed on the resolution process.
If possible, share the overall view on banking and NBFC space for the following financial year.
Yeah, so I think we should divide this into two parts: banking system and the NBFC sector. The banking system, I think things are looking better for the banking system going forward. They have come out of, I would say, the nadir, so as to say. If you look at the asset quality NPA levels, that had reached a very high level of 11.5% as of March 18, and credit growth was till FY 18 at single digit levels. We believe that going forward, NPA levels will come down and credit growth will pick up. Our sense is credit growth should be around 14% for FY20, and NPAs should further come down from the 9.3% that we had as of March 19. Additionally, we have seen the recapitalization of public sector banks happening, and around 2.1 lakh crore of capital has been infused into public sector banks. That has resulted in some of them actually coming out of the PCA framework, and they would also be looking at growing their credit book. So going forward, we believe credit growth to pick up, asset quality to come down for the banking sector. On the NBFC side, things are more challenging. We need to see how the situation evolves. Post the ILFS default, we have seen funding access challenges coming up for NBFCs, and that has resulted, especially in Q3 of FY19, their growth level had come down because they were curtailing disbursements to actually ensure that their liquidity is in place. Q4 has seen an uptick in disbursements and business growth, and we've also seen RBI come out with a draft circular on liquidity risk management for NBFCs. We believe that very soon that formal circular will come out, and that will help enhance liquidity level and ALM monitoring at the NBFCs.
Mr. Sitaraman, I think I will just have to stop you right there. We're out of time, but thank you so much for giving us a detailed analysis of what exactly you expect the financial space to do in the coming year, and of course, most importantly, they actually believe NPAs are falling at a faster pace than was expected earlier.